Let's get right into today's explainer. If you're looking to downsize, transition into retirement, or honestly, just trying to make sense of the housing market without all that unnecessary stress, you've landed in the exact right place. I'll be your guide today, kind of like your trusted advisor. We're going to demystify all this complex real estate data so you can tackle your next move with absolute confidence. Let's keep it simple, clear, and, actually useful.
So let's just be completely honest for a second. Do real estate reports make your eyes glaze over? Because I hear this all the time. You get handed this massive report packed with confusing numbers, random up and down arrows, and percentages that mean literally nothing without context. It is so overwhelming. But hey, here's the good news. I promise you, once you know exactly what to look for, reading these things takes maybe 2 minutes, tops.
Okay, let's dive into this with a real, slightly terrifying example. Imagine opening up a market report and just seeing this massive number staring back at you. 400%. This is actual data straight from a June 2026 MRAD report for the Hyde Park neighborhood in Chicago. The headline numbers basically screamed that detached single-family new listings jumped 400% in just one single month. If you're buying or even selling, that sounds like a total earthquake in the market, right? But let's take a collective deep breath and look at the actual math behind that crazy headline. The previous count was literally just one new listing, and the current count, 5. So yeah, going from one single home to 5 homes is mathematically a 400% increase. But it absolutely doesn't mean the market is suddenly overflowing with endless inventory. It's just a tiny, tiny sample size. A huge percentage swing on a super small base tells a very different story than a big swing on a large one. So seriously, do not let those massive percentages panic you.
To avoid that kind of panic, you really just need to understand the two most foundational metrics in any real estate report, and that's new listings and closed sales. Just think of new listings as homes that are newly coming onto the market. That's your supply. Closed sales, those are the homes that actually crossed the finish line and sold. That's your demand. Comparing these two numbers against each other is basically your absolute baseline for understanding the whole supply and demand dynamic of whatever neighborhood you're looking at.
Let's actually apply that to a real-world scenario using Hyde Park attached homes. The data here shows new listings actually dropped nearly 16%, while closed sales went up almost 3%. So what does that specific combo tell us? Well, when the supply of new homes drops, but the demand, the closed sales, goes up, it's a huge, glaring signal. It means buyers are absolutely going to face a lot more competition for fewer available homes.
Now, another really crucial metric to watch is the under contract number. This category catches homes that are pending or contingent but just haven't officially closed yet. I actually love this metric. Why? Because it gives you this incredibly valuable early read on exactly where the market is heading, way before those finalized closed sales numbers even catch up. Like in Hyde Park, attached homes saw an 8% rise in under contract activity, even while new listings fell. That tells us buyer demand is staying super steady and active, regardless of the tightening inventory.
And that brings us to a really core strategy. If you take literally nothing else away from this explainer, please remember this. Always, always weigh a single-month snapshot against trailing 12-month figures. I highly advise just leaning on those trailing 12-month numbers to smooth out all that statistical noise. For example, Hyde Park's 12-month closed sales drop of 15% tells a much steadier, way more reliable story than one unusually wild month. A single month can easily trick you, but a full year, it rarely does.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about pricing. You'll constantly see median sales price compared to average sales price. These two get mixed up all the time, but knowing the difference is absolutely critical. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median is the exact middle point, meaning half the homes sold for more and half sold for less. The average, on the other hand, just adds up all the sales and divides by the number of homes. The problem there? The average can be heavily, heavily skewed by just one or two ultra-expensive homes in a neighborhood. And here's a perfect example of that skew in action, over $1.5 million. In the Hyde Park detached market, just 3 closed sales caused the single month's median price to jump a whopping 83.9% to this absolutely staggering $1,562,500 figure. When you only have 3 sales in a given month, literally just one high-priced mansion can throw that needle completely out of whack and make you think the whole neighborhood has suddenly skyrocketed out of reach. So the crucial point is really to focus on the trailing 12-month median price. For that exact same area, the 12-month median was a much more grounded $1,270,000. Because this number spans way more transactions over a much longer period, it just absorbs those wild one-off sales and gives you a far more honest picture of true market value. So, rule of thumb, whenever a single month looks weird, trust the trailing 12 months. Beyond just the base pricing, you'll definitely want to check the percent of original list price received. This metric is pretty straightforward. It just tells you how close sellers are getting to their original asking price. In our Hyde Park data, attached homes got a really impressive 97.6% of their asking price. That means sellers are pricing things accurately and buyers are willing to pay up. But detached homes, they only got 90.5%. That difference points to a bit more room for buyer negotiation in the detached segment, even in a super desirable neighborhood. Another really telling indicator is average market time. This just measures how many days a home typically sits active on the market before going under contract. And according to insights from Redfin, a longer market time often signals a disconnect with buyer expectations. Maybe the price is set too high, or maybe the condition just isn't quite right. In our Hyde Park example, attached homes actually doubled their market time from 31 to 61 days. If you're a seller and you see this metric rising, you might need to pack a little more patience and maybe rethink your pricing strategy. Finally, you've got to keep an eye on months of supply, which is really all about inventory. Rocket Mortgage actually explains this beautifully. It measures exactly how long it would take to sell the current housing stock at the current sales pace. In Hyde Park, overall inventory fell 28.2% year over year. When inventory drops like that, it generally means a lot less choice for buyers. And on the flip side, considerably more negotiating power for sellers. Okay, let's pivot to some incredibly practical takeaways. Let's start with what you should do if you're getting ready to sell your home. First, definitely check the percent of original list price to see if homes in your area are currently priced accurately. Second, watch that average market time. A short market time tells you demand is strong for your specific type of home. And third, compare those new listings to closed sales. If new listings are dropping while closed sales are holding steady or rising, congratulations, that points directly to a seller's market. Now, what if you're on the other side of the transaction? If you're buying, you need to monitor inventory and market time very, very closely. If inventory is falling and market times are shrinking, you've got to expect to move quickly on homes that fit your criteria, and just realize you might have less room to negotiate. Finally, when you're figuring out what you can realistically afford, always use the median sales price for your budgeting. It's for sure the safest starting point because it doesn't get skewed upward by those extreme outlier mansions. Look, I want to take a quick moment to reassure you here. You absolutely do not need a finance degree to read these reports. You can pull all this jargon-free, monthly updated data for your exact community, whether that's a specific town in the South Suburbs or a distinct Chicago neighborhood, right on our Market Trends page. It's all right there, completely tailored for you, so you can see the actual, localized numbers that will affect your transition. Ultimately, our core philosophy here is simple. A market report stops being a headache and starts being a useful tool. Once you actually know what to look for, all that statistical noise just fades away. I highly encourage you to explore our free resource library and the Homeowners 50+ page. We've put together some really extensive, easy-to-read guides on downsizing, aging in place, and senior living options, all designed to help you make confident, informed decisions on your own schedule. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Which number will you look at first when planning your next move? Will it be the trailing 12-month median price to set your budget, or maybe the months of supply to gauge your negotiating power? Whichever it is, you now have the knowledge and the tools to decode the data and take full control of your real estate journey. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay informed, stay focused, and I will see you next time.